So we could say that the modern fitness got its start in the really early 1900s, or even a bit before that, but this is a period that has lasted for maybe 140 years or around that. And for the most part of that, for many, many decades, lifting with the spine that is rounded or a flexed spine was actually the norm. This was the basic way that many people did it without any kind of questioning. It's only in the, I'd say maybe last 30, 40 years that it's become this kind of like stigma of being very, very dangerous. And to an extent, you can't blame it when you see these people who are lifting incredible, like huge amount of weights, which they have no business lifting at, and they have no understanding of their bodies, and they're lifting like, it really literally looks like the vertebrae are going to burst out of their spine when they're just like shaking and lifting these weights that are too heavy for them. So that is also something that gives a very bad reputation for lifting with a rounded spine, because who wouldn't look at that and think that it's super dangerous for the spine. But it gives a very bad reputation to this kind of like the area of training that could be done in a very systematic and smart manner, and also, as I said, has been used for decades before all this fear mongering started. So this type of lifting and utilizing the spine that is even laterally flexed, all just like completely rounded, lower back, upper back, this has been used in many, many exercises. Even if you look at since like the Bronze era, the Silver era, even up to the Golden era of bodybuilding where Arnold Schwarzenegger was training, but starting from, for example, Reg Park or John Krimek, if you look at the old photos when they were doing either stiff leg deadlifts or straight leg deadlifts, or if they were doing bent over rows, or if they were doing cable rows. All the photos that I've seen consisted of people rowing either with the barbell or with the cable machine, as I mentioned, and they had a rounded spine, like in this manner. Or with the cable row, same way, like this way. And when they did the stiff leg deadlifts, it was also done with a rounded spine. Moving onward from there, as I mentioned, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Robbie Robinson, and it's other people. For example, their times, they also did the bent over row with a often done rounded spine, and with their spine even that went round and then extended. And same way, the T-bar row that is very famous from the Golden era. Full flexion of the spine and then rowing the weight back up. So this I'm telling you just this so you understand that it's not a new thing. This has been used by people who are very strong and without getting kind of issues. And even today, modern day, strongmen, especially among strongmen, many times when they're lifting their sandbags or atlas stones, you can also see a rounded spine. Powerlifters, usually they have the rounded upper spine as well, because it's just much easier mechanically to lift heavier weights when you round and hunch that upper back. And even among very elite athletes of Olympic lifters, these Chinese like guys who are quite small in stature, like that are one of the strongest in terms of these the back squats and front squats and deadlifts. These guys have specific like accessory lifts where they are doing, for example, this snatch grip deadlifts with a completely again rounded spine, and they're lifting very heavy weights. They're also doing spinal extensions with heavy weights with like a full range motion spine extension. So this lifting with rounded spine, it should not be any different from lifting with a straight spine, for example. For me, there's no difference. I approach lifting with these rounded spine exercises with the same care that I would approach any other exercise. Any exercise I recognize can potentially hurt me. It doesn't matter whether it's round or straight spine. A lot of people hurt their back even if they always keep it straight. So it should be an exercise and training modality among any other training modality. That's kind of the whole point here. But I do, of course, understand that given all the prevalence of back pain and back issues, and by the way, I used to have all sorts of back pain. I've suffered from a lot of different type of back pains during my life, and lifting with the rounded spine was never actually the cause for this, and it can actually even help to an extent. So, but I understand that the back can be a sensitive area for the modern people who are very sensitive in general, and this is why, of course, this type of training you need to approach with care. But as I mentioned, you should approach any exercise with care. But I want to show you some techniques now how you can progressively and gradually approach this type of training if you're very unfamiliar, if you feel you have like some weakness in that back and you're kind of more or less afraid to do this type of round back exercises. I'm going to give you some options here how you can start to train it in a very, very sane and safe manner. And all in all, you will never have to lift heavy weights even to get this, the good results, good stimulus from this. So firstly, doing these rounded spine exercises, you probably already understand what it means. You know, I'm bending over from my hips in some way or manner, maybe straight legs or not so straight legs. And then when I'm picking up something from the floor or I'm holding something weight, it just means that my back is, to an extent, it's rounded. It could be rounded just like from the upper area, just from the lower, or both. But in these cases that we are practicing, it's like more or less just letting the whole spine round. So this is a common, like I mentioned, for example, about lifting the sandbag, but in strongman competitions when they are lifting like big atlas stones, and they're like, these are again atlas stones that weighing like close to 300 pounds. People lift them with, first they go like this way and they have a rounded spine, and then they lift the stone into their knees, and then they lift it up from there in different manners. But starting with the sandbag, that is the tool that we have in the iron king method, you know, even the lightest one, the 50 pounds, it can still be quite a lot. Like it's by no means extra heavy weight, but it's still like, it's a weight and it's really pulling you down. So in order to start, you can utilize, for example, dumbbells, if you have light dumbbells, light barbells, or even the mace can be utilized if you hold it from here, so you don't get this kind of offset stimulus immediately. But the first thing that you want to do is actually not have any kind of weight. And a methodology for that I like to utilize this is having something like elevated from the ground. It can be yoga blocks, it can be sandbags, or whatever you might have, even the chair. And what I'm doing is actually, I'm just kind of going here, taking support from that, and then I'm going a little bit up and a little bit down. Up and a little bit down. So what this does is you're just kind of like training the flexibility, of course, but you're also training your ability to work your glutes, your hamstrings from the bottom position here. Because the fact that we are keeping a rounded spine does not mean we are lifting with the spine. This is a very big difference that you need to understand. Having a rounded spine does not mean that you are lifting with the rounded spine. Usually actually utilizing the rounded spine means that you are pronouncing the activation of the glutes and hamstrings. This is also one of the key things why people should practice round spine lifting. This is a method that also taught me to use my glutes and my hamstrings a lot in training, because when I was keeping a straight back like this way, and I was lifting more with my back, coincidentally, because I'm always focusing on keeping that extension, so I'm putting all my focus, all my mind muscle connection into those erector spinae, my back muscles, and I'm putting my nervous system focus on there, so I'm utilizing my back a lot to lift myself, instead of focusing on here on the glutes and the spine, or glutes and the hamstrings. So starting with this drill teaches you to engage the hamstrings and the glutes from the bottom, because I'm not trying to get up with my back. So the important here is that you stop. The function of this is that I don't just go here and bounce like this way. I go here and I get a good solid stop. Solid control, contraction, and back. And back. So when, if injuries happen, they usually probably are in these very stretched positions where the muscles might be a little bit more weaker. So that's why approaching this very stretched position with utmost control, no bouncing at all. This is pure strength exercise. You can do more straight legs also. I know this, I'm never coming fully up. because this range here, it's not very stimulating in this exercise. So I don't want to waste my time into this like huge range here. I'm just working here the point that is usually the weakest and where I'm feeling my muscles the most. So if you cannot do that, if you cannot do this exercise, this drill, without experiencing significant tiredness and pain, you shouldn't be trying to lift then weights off the floor in this way. Just grind this exercise, develop that initial hamstring glute connection and also that sort of spine flexibility that is required. This is and even if you didn't ever go and lift then heavy weights, you would get major benefits from this. I'm telling you, like you're gonna feel completely different in your hamstrings and glutes after you do just this drill. But then after you start to feel somewhat comfortable with that, you can add a little bit more resistance. So you can go
hey, hey, da da ki na kade.